Okay, well, Parshat Balak tells the story of how Balak, the Moabite king, hires the famous sorcerer Bilam to curse the Jewish nation because they're threatening the security of his people. And it's a real feel-good story, and good triumphs over evil, and Bilam's attempts to curse the Jewish camp against his will turns into blessings. And there's this additional wonderful irony, this delicious irony of the great seer who boasts his tremendous spiritual powers, and he can't even see what his donkey, the most foolish of all animals, can see. So it's a great story. But the 15th century commentator, the Spanish commentator, the Barbanel, asks a really excellent question. Why did God prevent Bilam from cursing the Israelites? Why should they have cared about his curse? If God had previously blessed the people with peace, what difference would it make? Let him go and curse, do what he will. Well, one answer to this question is given by the 14th century French commentator, Joseph Ibn Caspi. And he says that the curses were turned to blessings, not so much to teach Bilam a lesson that he was not his own master, but actually for the benefit of Israel, because while from an objective perspective, the curses would have no effect, from a subjective perspective, they would make a very big difference, because remember that the Jewish people had spent 210 years steeped in Egyptian culture, which was filled with magic and superstition. And Bilam was a world-known, renowned sorcerer, and people would still have been hugely impressed. The Israelites would still have been impressed even now by sorcerers and diviners. And so they would have been deeply affected by his curses, even if they had not actually had objective impact. And conversely, they would have been very reassured by his blessings. So that's one answer that's given to the question. Other authorities maintain that neither Bilam's nor Israel's good was exclusively involved over here. God did not want to be instrumental in bolstering superstition altogether, because had Bilam cursed, the Moabites, the ones who had asked him to come to their aid, would certainly have assumed that the reason why the Israelites refrained from attacking them was because of the effectiveness of Bilam's curses, when in fact, the reason why they didn't attack them was because the Almighty had already explicitly forbidden them to harm the Moabites, because of Ruth who was going to come from the Moabite tribe. But the Barbanel's question for me actually raises a further question, and perhaps one which is even a more important one. Is it only because of God's overarching protective blessing that Bilam's curses would then be ineffective? In other words, do human curses, or for that matter, blessings, actually make a difference? Not just Bilam's curses and blessings, but any person's blessings and curses. If you curse someone, does it have an effect? If you bless someone, is there any tangible benefit to the recipient because of your words? In other words, why should human utterances have any significance? If one is worthy, you'd expect divine justice to bestow blessings, whether or not humanly blessed. And the reverse is true with respect to one who is unworthy. So do blessings and curses uttered by human beings actually make a difference? It's a fascinating question. Well, as it happens, there are several instances of the power of curses in the Talmud. Rav reportedly had the power to curse others with sterility. Not sure you really want to use that one very much. Yehoshua ben Levi had the power to curse crops. And Shimon ben Shattach's son was considered so potent that 80 witnesses recanted their perjury rather than see his curse realized. This would seem to imply that curses actually work. But nevertheless, the Torah prohibits a person from cursing another human being, because the root of this problem is not to cause injury with our mouths, the power that God gave us to be able to use speech. Because even though we don't know exactly how a curse will affect the other person in objective terms, or how much power we personally have to utter a curse, what is certainly clear is that the words themselves, when you curse someone, bring psychological suffering and pain to the recipient. And so it's a big no-no. You just don't curse anyone, even though sometimes you feel like it. But it's actually very different with blessings, because in Genesis, God blesses Abraham with the following words: I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, veheye bracha, and you shall be a blessing. Rashi says that the words veheye bracha, and you shall be a blessing, means that the blessings, God says to Abraham, the blessings are now entrusted into your hand. Until now, blessings were in my hand. I blessed Adam, and Noah. But from now on, I'm giving you the power, Abraham, and to all of your descendants to bless whomever you wish. The commentators connect the word bracha with the word brecha, which is found, by the way, in Isaiah. And a brecha means a reservoir of water. So the idea of a bracha is that the brecha, it's the place where the blessings are collected, so to speak, to be drawn on, to be used when needed. And the word bracha in Mishnaic terms is connected to the word hamavrich, which means to draw down. So when we bless someone, we draw down the blessing from the reservoir or the source of all blessings to this human being, to this person. The blessings are, of course, God's blessings, but we become his agents to draw those blessings down into the world. And of course, being a holy person increases one's blessing-giving powers, and that's why the Kohanim have a special role in blessing people. But this power has been given to every human being. And with caring and with compassion, one is capable of broadening the spiritual channel between the recipient of the blessing and Almighty God, so that blessings can flow to that person in an unimpeded way. And the only thing you need to make a blessing effective is a loving heart and a big, big smile. Well, our sages said that the blessing of even an ignorant person should be taken seriously. And if that's the case, I therefore offer you a blessing of good health, and a blessing of the fulfillment of all of your heart's desires, and the blessing for a Shabbat Shalom.